Who told you that information was not classified?
Any questions?
Which of your national security advisors
Just
told you
following
that?
up on your comments on the economy.
And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip.
Caitlin,
I'm not taking your follow-up. Again, I have now been asked and answered the same question using different language
Look at their
multiple times. If anybody has another question, there's a lot of different things going on in the world.
There, are you going to exempt life-saving medications, or what can we expect?
Well, we'll be announcing that. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, I'm certainly open.
Clinton Jaws. I just got back from Palm Springs. It was amazing. Weather, flight, unbelievable. I'm a terrible flyer. I didn't do well on the plane, even though it was smooth. Because I haven't been around, my channel's taken a bit of a beating. I'm going to have to endure a little bit of punishment. So if you do me a favor, it's the only thing I care about. Can you please like this video? CNN, Caitlin Collins. Oh, she had a bad week. You guys know Caitlin Collins, right? Looks like Justin Trudeau with long hair.
It's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Trump and the press secretary eat her alive this week. Let's watch. It's fun. I probably shouldn't have said eat her alive.
No, the guy's a total sleazebag. The Atlantic is a failed magazine. Does very, very poorly. Nobody gives a damn about it. This gives it a little bit of a shot. And I will tell you this, that they've made up more stories, and they're just a failing magazine. The public understands that. He's a very good man. That man is a very good man right there. That
guy behind the
criticize.
guy. Every time she speaks, he keeps on ignoring her. What about the hoots?
I think the Houthis wish that it didn't happen, but that's what it's all about.
Do you worry that national security was put at risk, Mr. President?
Of senior officials using
A good person. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
But you are going to conduct
would
an
it be
investigation.
a problem if the Atlantic released all the...
We shouldn't allow them to be hurt by it.
Mr. President, can I follow up on that? Are you saying you're okay with the continued use of Signal by administration
No,
officials for
that's not what I
sensitive?
said. I said we'll look into it.
Okay, I'll let you ask one question.
But you will conduct an investigation, is what you're saying into this.
We'll look into it, sure.
Who said the information was not classified?
Do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
And the best one?
Who told you that information was not classified?
Any questions?
Which of your national security advisors
Just
told you
following
that?
up on your comments on the economy.
And then Collins meets Karoline Leavitt again.
I have two questions. One on a follow-up on something you just said. But
Looking
since
good
we
in
have
green.
these messages released, and you said that the president has now personally reviewed them, at the chat, at one point, Pete Hegseth wrote, 1415 strike drones on target, and in all caps he said, this is when the first bombs will definitely drop.
Damn right.
Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
Go Big K.
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
Okay.
Philip.
And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip.
Caitlin,
I'm not taking your follow-up.
I have a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldsberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I have called
Thank
on
you.
The Vice President seemed to express some frustration that Europe wasn't doing more to police waterways in their backyard, noting in that signal thread that 40% of European trade goes through the Suez Canal. Does the President share that opinion and frustration? And then going forward, should the Europeans be responsible for policing that waterway?
Well, the president was asked this question yesterday by the pool in the cabinet room, and he answered this question. He said yes. He believes that Europe has been, as the vice president put it, freeloading on the backs of American taxpayers and off the backs of the United States.
Mr. President Trump, is 80,000 pages of documents is a lot to sift through.
Yeah.
I put this in because my wife started laughing on the couch and I'm doing it for her.
Can you just tell us who killed Kennedy?
Well, I was given the task of releasing that because many presidents have gone through it and they haven't released. And I said, release. We even released Social Security numbers. I didn't want anything deleted.
We know you know.
They said, sir, what about Social Security? People long gone.
I don't know if you saw this. Tim Walz is now saying about Trump supporters, and forgive me, I'm just reading a quote from Tim Walz, I think I could kick most of their ass.
Oh boy, he'd be in trouble.
Is there any way to know?
Well, he's a loser. The guy's a loser. He lost an election. He played a part. Usually a vice president doesn't play a part, they say. I think Tim played a part. I think he was so bad that he hurt her.
He was bad. I thought he did a great job expressing himself.
As the statistics
No, that's a gross generalization.
That he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on health care then.
Senator, Governor.
Please.
Thank you.
Looks normal to me.
But she hurt herself, and Joe hurt them both. They didn't have a great group, but I would probably put him at the bottom of the group. But we just need honest journalism, and we don't have it. When you have a CNN, you have to watch these people every once in a while just to see where they're coming from.
Believe
and
me,
it's so dishonest. MSNBC is, I think, probably worse. And they're both doing horribly in the ratings. I think they're going to be turned off. I don't think they're not doing any ratings.
Please don't.
You're doing well in the ratings. It's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States. And you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you. This is something that should have been done by sleepy Joe Biden, but he was asleep at the wheel other than when it came to stealing money, of course.
If this story proves anything, it proves that Democrats and their propagandists in the mainstream media know how to fabricate, orchestrate, and disseminate a misinformation campaign quite well. And there's arguably no one in the media who loves manufacturing and pushing hoaxes more than Jeffrey Goldberg. Goldberg is an anti-Trump hater. He is a registered Democrat. Goldberg's wife is also a registered Democrat and a big Democrat donor who used to work under who? Hillary Clinton. This is the same Jeffrey Goldberg who infamously lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us into the Iraq War, which cost trillions of dollars and thousands of American soldiers.
How does the president view none of this, which details times and weapons and more, as being not classified?
I've already been asked and answered this question. The president's thoughts on this remain the same today as they were yesterday, as well as the Secretary of Defense. This question has been asked and answered. There was no classified material discussed. Jackie.
On what basis I was asking?
Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. So,
watch yourself.
Why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense, who was nominated for this role, voted by the United States Senate into this role, who has served in combat, honorably served our nation in uniform? Or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter? This president and this national security team are putting our national security and the American people first. We are restoring American strength around the world, and the results of this operation speak for themselves. And I would just add one more point. We are not going to be lectured about national security and American troops by Democrats in the mainstream media who turned the other cheek when the Biden administration, because of their incompetence, left 13 service members dead in Afghanistan, and not a single person in the previous administration was held accountable for that botched withdrawal. Joe Biden said, in fact, it was a great operation. That is despicable. It's unacceptable. Again, I have now been asked and answered the same question using different language multiple times. If anybody has another question, there's a lot of different things going on in the world. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for taking my question. I wanted to first and foremost thank the administration for the election integrity executive order, because so many journalists for 4 years were banned from talking about this very subject. So thank you to the administration for that. My question is, yesterday President Trump, when signing the order, said that there is more to come when it comes to election integrity. Would that include same-day voting and hand-counted paper ballots? And why are Democrats so against election integrity measures like like obviously proof of citizenship when it comes to voting in a United States election?
Well, it's a very good question. You'll have to ask the Democrats why they're against so many common sense things, not just mandating voter ID. Why are they against men and women's sports? Why are they against deporting foreign terrorists from American soil who have been designated a foreign terrorist organization? I'm referring to Tren de Aragua.
I hit it out of the park.
What option does he have to ensure that his agenda continues to move forward while this is ongoing and the judges appear to be trying to just block and delay, impede?
Well, you're right. They are trying to block, delay, and impede. This is lawfare. Clearly, these partisan activists in the judicial branch didn't get the memo on November 5th when the American people overwhelmingly re-elected this president to continue with mass deportations. Americans who have chosen to drive an electric vehicle, many of them are Democrats, by the way. Democrats were big supporters of Tesla and of electric vehicles until Elon Musk decided to vote for Donald Trump.
Green.
So we would like, and that's great news for the American public.
Kremlin readout mentioned that Trump and Putin spoke about potential U.S.-Russia hockey games.
And when it comes to the topic of hockey, it did come up. However, we're more interested in securing a peace deal than scheduling hockey games right now. Sean. All of the president's calls with foreign leaders, and again, I would defer you to the readout.
And then following
Michael.
up on
You see that? I love that. Look how disappointed he is.
Michael.
One more on Tesla, Caroline. Tim Walz, Governor Walz, saying last night he frequently checks Tesla stock. In doing so, to quote, give me a little boost during the day. How should Americans view politicians who take pride in the downfall of an American car company?
I think that's quite sad, but I think Governor Walz unfortunately is living a sad existence after his devastating defeat on November 5th.
Trump on a plane. He even protects the fake news.
We're in the process of landing. I didn't realize it's quite late. Is everything good?
Yeah, sir.
We have a lot of good things happening in our country. I hope you're enjoying the flight.
Yeah, you do.
Any questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Canada, sir, and after the call, you seem to be much more positive about Canada than you've been in the past.
No, I just think, I've always loved Canada. And we had a very good conversation. The Prime Minister, they've got an election going on, so we're going to meet after the election.
On the pharma tariffs, Mr. President, you've been talking about the pharma tariffs and what to expect there. Are you going to exempt life-saving medications, or what can we expect there?
Well, we'll be announcing it soon, but we have to bring pharmaceuticals, drugs and pharmaceuticals back into our country.
And what's the rate you're looking at? 15%, 25%?
We're looking at a certain number that will be enough to get the drugs and the pharmaceutical companies bringing their product into our country.
So
we never want to have to rely on other countries for that. Like we did at COVID.
Sir, Mr. President, on the car tariffs and just the reciprocal tariffs, a lot of countries are making gestures, including Britain, which was talked about reducing
They want to make
digital
deals.
services. They want to make deals.
They do.
Are you in a mode, or
Well, it's possible if we could get something for the deal, but we've been taken advantage of for 40 years, maybe more. And it's just not going to happen. But yeah, I'm certainly open to this.
Do you think
if we can do something where we get something for it.
Mr. President, do you plan to? Would that happen before the tariffs are announced?
No, probably later.
Probably. Mr. President, do you?
It's a process. Do it probably later. We're landing right now.
Mr. President, do you plan to take Greenland by force?
Does today's inflation report impact?
We're landing right now. I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
We don't want to see you get hurt.
Have a good time.
Thank you,
luck,
Mr.
everybody.
President.
Good luck. Sit down.
I need you, fake news. Sit down, because that's really what has won him both elections. Fake news, well, it's part of it. Sit down. I don't want you getting hurt. Even looks after the fake news. Stick around, guys. I'm going to make a couple of videos today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.